Are you frustrated trying to deal with sundowners in a loved one? Are you the caregiver that's trying to figure out how to keep them calm and not have them go out the door every afternoon and get agitated? Well, after 30 years of being a registered nurse and 10 years owning my own care home, I've taken care of hundreds of people with dementia. And let's talk today about the things that I use to help my people not experience the severe sundowners. And I think that sundowning is actually not as big of a problem as we think it is if we just plan out our loved ones' days. And what do I mean by that is that number one is we've got to make sure that we get people to get up early in the morning, because as people are sundowning, oftentimes what I hear is that, well, they stayed up all night and so then I let them sleep during the day, or I let them take naps during the day. And so that is something that we have to kind of think back and maybe not allow, because sundowning, is it really sundowners or is it just poor sleep habits? So one of the things that I make sure that I do, number one, is make sure that people get up in the morning by 9 in the morning. And I make sure that the lights stay on during the day. Lights on, windows, blinds open. Try to take people outside so that they get sunlight early in the day, because that helps your natural rhythm realize when morning is. And then as the day goes by, I start thinking and planning ahead for number two is that after dinner, the lights dim. And not only do they dim, but the blinds close on the windows so that people start to think it's nighttime. When you have it too bright, they can't realize it's night. And the TV has to go off, because that TV is very confusing to people, and they'll think that it's daytime because what they're watching on the TV is daytime. So that's number one. And number two is about the darkness. Number three is back to that TV again. TVs, while they may seem like a great way to keep your loved one engaged and give them something to do, they actually, I have found, are very confusing for dementia patients. And I actually try to not have it on. If I have it on for somebody else, then I'll have that other person use headphones. Because what I have found with number three is that that TV causes confusion. They can't understand that that is different than reality. And so whatever they watch on there becomes part of their thought process, and they might think that they're a part of what's going on that TV, or that those people are real and are interacting with them. All of those things are very confusing and cause agitation in a lot of dementia patients. Now, your loved one might be fine with the TV, or maybe with certain shows, it's okay. I find that if you want to have the TV on, just having on some type of music show can be fine. But when you have violence, uh, even the news can be very confusing. So I try, and interestingly enough, one of the worst offenders for this is the Hallmark type channel, where you have the movies. They, I found, are very confusing for dementia patients. So I try to avoid those with my patients. And that really has made a huge difference in the level of calmness. Number three, four for me is to try and keep things on the same schedule every day. You know, they get used to what goes on at different parts of the day. They get used to who is there, and that seems to help keep things calm. And that's really the key to avoiding that sundowning effect, is by keeping things calm and pretty much the same every day. That helps. And then the next thing that I really love is actually to get them exercise. You know, if all they do is sit around and nap, it's hard to get people to go to sleep at night, because they need to actually expend some energy. And so I will make sure that they get some walking in, or some chair exercise, whatever they're capable of, Make sure that you are working with them throughout the day to use energy to make them tired at night. And my last hint is to think about diet. What are they eating and drinking, and at what time? People will tell me, oh, I can drink caffeine all day and it doesn't bother me. I used to have someone that lived with me who had a fair amount of confusion, and he would pop the top on his Dr. Pepper every evening. And I'd say, that's why you're not sleeping. And he'd say, oh, no, it's not why I'm not sleeping. I just can't sleep. And he would be up for hours throughout the night, and he'd be drinking that Dr. Pepper in the middle of the night. So we've got to think about our intake of things. And so one of the things that I love to do is to actually, when somebody wants coffee, I give them decaf. They can't taste the difference. And yes, it gives a different effect. But for people with dementia, caffeinated coffee is not your friend. It helps them stay awake when you actually want them to be able to sleep at night. So thinking about diet, also sugar intake, and what time is that sugar? If people are sensitive to their sugar intake, I will make sure that dessert happens at lunchtime instead of dinner time, so that way it gets out of their system before bed. And lastly, think about the words that you're using. This is something that I don't hear people talk about very often, but I have found with the dementia patients that live with me is that when somebody says, I'll see you later, and we all know that that means on a different day, it could be even a different month. But see you later to a dementia patient can oftentimes mean later today. And so they'll go and start packing or getting ready for that visit to come back, or they'll be upset because in their mind they can remember they're coming back. They said, see you later. So make sure that the words that you're using aren't the cause of the problem. And that can be a simple fix once you think about what words are being said and what the effect is later in the day. So I try to coach family members and staff members to use the right words. If you liked these hints, make sure you put tips down below in the comments, and I'll give you my free easy caregiving guide that I've compiled after 30 years of nursing to help you with your caregiving journey. And I hope to see you in another video soon about caregiving.